Democrats seem to have their rallying cry ahead of 2028, tax anything and everything. The latest example, Washington Governor Bob Ferguson signing the state's millionaires tax into law today.
Elsewhere, call him Bernie from the block. Socialist Sanders stumping in the Bronx to demand America's job creators and wealthy pay up.
Let me make you ready for an extraordinarily radical statement. It is so radical that the vast majority of the American people agree with us. And that is that the time is long overdue for profitable corporations and the wealthiest people in our country to start paying their fair share of taxes.
Joining us now, the Heritage Foundation Chief Economist E.J. Antoni, along with pollster and strategic communications expert Lee Carter. E.J., people who make a lot of money do pay their fair share, particularly at the federal level, but I want these leftist wingnut states to tax wealthier people because they will skedaddle to better states with lower taxes, and it will destroy this Bernie bullshinola. And that's what I'm waiting for.
Well, Dagan, it's what we're already seeing, right? And look, it's not just people on the right who are saying this. It's not just folks who I think you could say are unbiased and apolitical, but even the political actors on the left are having to admit that this is the dynamic at play here. In fact, the governor of New York was one of those people who recently said, look, I can't fund all of these different welfare programs and other big government expenditures without wealthy people here paying tons and tons of taxes. And yes, Dagan, you're absolutely right. They already pay their fair share. And notice Bernie never defines what is the fair share, right? He never says what his fair share of your money is because he wants to be able to always take more. That's why you'll never hear a percentage out of these people. They'll never say something like, we're entitled to half of your income. They just like phrases such as fair share because it allows them to make the numbers whatever they want them to be.
Lee, Bernie says the American people are with him. They like tax the rich. Is he right about that?
Unfortunately, he is right. It's wildly popular. The taxing the rich and the big corporation and the big corporate greed is wildly popular. More than 60% of Americans agree with it. The problem is once they put it in practice and they start to see what happens to the states, that's when they're going to have real issues. So look at what's happening right now in New York. Look at what's happening in California. Look what's happening in Oregon and Washington State. They're all losing people to states like Florida, Texas, and Tennessee, who are having much, much more success, both attracting the wealthy people and attracting companies. And that's what you need. You need tax income in order to have a healthy state. So while these are popular ideas, in practice, they don't work. And when you ask an American what they think fair actually means, what is their fair share, they're surprised to find out how much people actually do pay in taxes. There's this idea somehow that people are going through every loophole and not paying any taxes. And when they hear in states like New York, the wealthiest people are paying north of 50% in taxes, they're very surprised because that should be a fair share. But again, it's messaging and it does work with a lot of voters.
Well, the top 1% pay more than 40% of the federal income taxes, but earn a fraction of that. And it's relatively the same here in New York City. More than 40% of all the taxes. Bottom 50% pay 3% of the total taxes. Let's move on to this. Lee, this one's for you. The ladies at The View triggered bigly by an influencer at CPAC who encouraged folks to have babies. Listen.
I think it's just really reckless to be suggesting that people should have children when you now know in this country there's this affordability crisis, and for a two-person household, a married household, you need over $400,000 for childcare.
This is based on some cockamamie study that said that you need, this is a 7% affordability threshold, where this is for childcare. You should only spend 7% on childcare. How about one spouse not working and staying home with the babies?
How about that? I mean, the thing is these kinds of statistics and the idea that it's reckless to have families. There's no evidence that suggests that wealthier people are happier or that the kids are better off. In fact, quite the opposite. There's a certain amount of money that you make that actually says that kids are less happy. And that's somewhere around $130,000. You continuously become unhappier as you make more and more money. And so this isn't, it's wild to me that people are suggesting that it's reckless to have families when we know that big families are happy, they're healthy, they're the backbone of America. That's what this is all about. They're the future of our country. And to say that it's reckless to have multiple children, to me, is just beyond me. I can't imagine what they're thinking.
Well, if those ladies in The View don't want to have any kids or whatever, that is fine with me. The rest of America can have families, and I think we'll all be better off for it. Okay, EJ, I got one for you. The latest bright idea from Senator Bernie Sanders could disrupt plans for the Chicago Bears to move to Hammond, Indiana. The, quote, Home Team Act would require 1 year's notice before a team relocates and gives communities a year to buy the team at a fair price. I don't know where to start with this one. Fair price, what the heck does that mean? Communities? It sounds like socializing sports to me, EJ. What do you think?
Well, exactly, Brian. And why on earth do we even want government to be purchasing these teams, right? It makes absolutely no sense. Government already is frankly, way too involved in sports with the way they subsidize these stadiums. That's just one example, but there are countless others. The last thing we need is more government involvement here and more bureaucrats trying to tell you, me, and everyone else what our fair share of anything is or what the fair price of anything is. They don't know the first thing about fairness. All these people do when they come up with these crazy ideas like this is just demonstrate their own economic illiteracy.
Yeah, watching some baseball, I think this needs more Bernie. This needs more politician in it. That's what I think. Great to see both of y'all.
Thanks, guys.
EJ.